Hello, good morning from California and good afternoon in Italy. This is Monica Larner. I'm the Italian reviewer with the Wine Advocate, and every week at this time I do a 1-hour conversation with an Italian winemaker as part of my Italian wine series. And this week we will speak with a very interesting person named Bibi Graetz, who lives right outside of Florence. And has vineyards in different parts of Italy, of Tuscany. And he has a very interesting winemaking approach. He makes some terrific Sangiovese-based wines. Let me see if I can find him here. Hold on. Anyway, so it should be a very interesting conversation. Bibi farms not only in various parts of Tuscany, in the Lamole area of the what would be the Chianti Classico region, but also in the province of Siena, but also on the island of Giglio, where he makes white wines. Here he is. Hold on, add. So he has a pretty interesting portfolio of wines. Waiting for Bibi to connect. And as soon as we get him, there he is. He's in the vineyard today. Look at that.
Ciao, Monica.
Hi, Bibi. How are you?
Fine. Fine.
You look great. You have a suntan and you're in the middle of the vineyard with a beautiful afternoon light. It's terrific.
Yeah. I'm in Lamole.
You're in Lamole. Yeah. So listen, we'll talk about where you are right now and how that particular site, because I know that it's planted to very old vines, how that is important to your program of wines. But before we start, listen, how are you? How have you been? What have you been doing these last few months during the lockdown and after the lockdown? And how has your summer been?
Well, listen, apart for the general situation, which is, quite strange and worrying and everything. But personally, I have been trying for many years to try to slow down the traveling, and because, for build up a reality like I did, you had to really travel a lot, like once a month around the world like crazy. So I was hoping to slow down, and instead it was just increasing. And while things go better, instead of decreasing, it becomes even more, because you must kind of back up the things and everything. And then this thing here came, and they said, bam, no more traveling, no, just stay home, check the wines, check the vineyards. For me it's okay, but it's a good deal. But obviously, it's a strange situation. Everybody's a bit worried, and let's hope that this fucking second wave is not going to come. I don't know.
Let's hope.
Let's hope.
I don't know. I was just looking at the numbers this morning, and I was worried about Italy as well. Yeah.
You just don't understand anything, because somebody says it's it's like before. Somebody says it's okay. It's not as contagious. It's not as strong. You don't understand. What this. So we are just here. You look and you just touch wood, touch metal, touch balls, touch everything.
Touch everything. I love that. Listen, so Bibi, you are one of my favorite winemakers in Italy, just because you're so out of the box. You do things differently. You have a very savvy approach to marketing, which you could even see in the beauty of the wines that even the labels that you have designed yourself. You have a different approach to sourcing your fruit, which is more of a kind of a garagiste approach, or more what we see even here where I am in California, where people will source fruit from different sites, not necessarily own the vineyards, but find the best sites that they want to farm with the old vines that they're looking for, the specific qualities that they're looking for. And then you can use those as blending elements. And up until recently, you even had kind of a wandering winery situation. Everything about you is kind of different in Italy, that is so used to having one estate, one owner, one family in one particular area. And so you kind of break all these molds. And before I get to that, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your background, about your personal background, and a little bit about how this winemaking philosophy started that's so different in the Italian context.
But senti, first of all, the thing is that can you see me right, Monica? Because suddenly I see a bit darker.
No, I see you fine. You look fine. Okay. Yeah.
Strange.
If you want, if the sun is too much in your eyes, no.
No, it's kind of the video that is darker, but
no, it's perfect. 4G, no, 4G.
4G alla grande. Listen, I started in 2000, and the first thing I started it happened to me is I fell in love with old vines. I mean, the idea of making wines with old vines was my kind of drive from the first moment. And I fell in love with the idea of doing wines with the old vines of Sangiovese, Canaiolo, Colorino. This was my first real drive, and from there it didn't really make sense to start planting vineyards, to buy land and plant vineyards, because I was in love with old vines. And first, when I started my project, I kind of gave myself, I was not a wine guy. So I kind of gave myself 10 years of life and say, okay, let's do a project kind of for 10 years. So it didn't make sense for me to plant vineyards at the beginning. So I was just surfing around and looking for old vines. And this suddenly opened up a completely different mindset to me, because I started discovering this beautiful old vines, also far away from the winery, and I started sourcing the grapes. And often these wines were, held from small gardens. The people that are working with them, like here in Lamole, you have this fantastic guy who's 75 years old, is farming this vineyard for all his life, and we are sourcing the fruits from here. And it's you kind of come in a completely different mindset, which is obviously not industrial, as a mindset. And also it's a bit my way of doing the wine, of thinking the wine. I was talking with a friend today, and he was telling me, maybe you are more like an artist than like a winemaker, because you're sitting here and you're looking for perfection. And there is always something more you can do. And can't you just relax? You have more, and then, but maybe it's not perfect. Maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do small this and change it. And at the end, it's more like creating a sculpture that you're all. At the end at a certain point, you need to stop, because otherwise you could continue the whole life, to look for the perfection.
One thing I've heard about you from, other winemakers is like, yeah, Bibi, but where are his vineyards? Where are his vineyards? Because in the end, you bottle, everything is IGT Toscana, so it doesn't follow the same, criteria for appellation identity. These are your expressions. These are vines that you found, like an archaeologist digging through, these remote parts of Tuscany to put together the blending components that you wanted for the wines.
But listen, at the beginning, there was a whole thing, because first when I started, it was, people didn't understand what I did. And then I was, they were, also probably trying to, throw me out from the system, because I was kind of disturbing. So there was this whole thing that Bibi Graetz didn't have the vineyards. Everybody was talking, Bibi Graetz doesn't have the vineyard. What the fuck are you talking about? How do you make
Here
wine?
They are, right? You're standing in them.
How do you make wine? I was just letting them talk. So at the end, we'll see what happens. So. But at the end of the day, now people, it's actually much easier now with the social media, because with the social media, you communicate while you are in a place. So often I'm in the vineyard and I make the picture, and so suddenly there is no point anymore about vineyards.
Right, everything comes to life, exactly.
It's a bit more, how do you say, But anyway, it's if you want, I can show you a bit some of these old vines that are really, really
Yes,
cool.
yes, let's see
Yeah,
them. Yes, so
let's see
I've
if
been
I.
in that vineyard site, and it's really small. What is it? Just a few hectares, no?
Yeah, well, actually, there are 4.5 between
Mm-hmm.
this little part. I don't know how, but the only problem is I don't know how you managed to switch the phone.
Oh, yeah, you have to find, or you can do it with your hand if it's easier, but
Like, but right there, because normally you can, huh? Be able to.
yeah, I don't know how you do it either. Oh, you know what? There's a little, I see in my window, there's a little button that shows that, that that's turning sign. Yes. Somebody asked, are you in Lamole now? Yes. Oh, that's, well, as listen, if anybody has any questions, throughout this hour when we're talking, anybody can ask any questions that they'd like. Since we're having this technical
Allora,
moment here, I just wanted to remind you of
can you
that.
see the
So,
vineyard now?
yes, we see it. We see it. It's gorgeous. The colors, I mean, look at it's great.
Yeah, and it's really beautiful. You have all this tiny, tiny grapes. I mean, this year the wine here is going to be amazing because look at the tiny grapes you have. They're like
Yeah. They're very,
smaller than my smaller. Let's see it. They're smaller than my hand. No.
the soup, yeah, the concentrate. Look at the twisted wood, and you can see. I mean, what is that? Must be like maybe what 6 clusters per vine, 8 clusters per vine, or something.
Yeah, the production is actually not too low. No, it's not. It's sometimes you have also grapes that deliver quite a lot of fruit here,
Mm-hmm.
and we just leave them on because it's cool. They have a bit more acidity.
We're getting compliments for Bolamata. I saw people coming in from Las Vegas, somebody from Brazil. Did I see someone from Iran? Was that, or was that a comment? I'm not sure. Hello, everyone.
Uh,
So, Bibi, we have a first question about your farming: biodynamic, organic, sustainable. How are because you have different parcels. So, what is the umbrella philosophy for your
well,
tenute?
when you talk about farming, I like to say that I make high quality farming, which is I am a bit of an anarchic guy. So, I mean, if you start doing categories, I get allergic immediately. So
No categories, right?
Kavit is just it's like I'm better than you, kind of thing. And but I mean, we decided to farm technically and let's say certified, whatever you wanted to say. I mean, organic, just to make our part in the trying to make the world cleaner now, kind of idea.
Mm-hmm.
But our philosophy is to make really high quality growing of the grapes. I don't know how you can translate it, but uh, it's not it has to do with everything. It's not and it's very personal also, because you try, you do always your best, and it's I mean, the idea, no, vini veri, vini fazzi, ma che cazzo è no, it's like my wine is true and your wine is not true. Come on.
Well, now in the
Uh,
States, there's a lot of discussion about clean wine, which is making a lot of people, well, what is that supposed to mean, right? Of course, when it's only a marketing term, but
I think the most important is to make high quality winemaking. High
mm-hmm.
quality wine, how high quality work in the vineyard. That's what we really do, and we take care each plant. By itself. It's not. We're not talking about hectares, and not even each plant, but we take care about each single shoot. So we make sure that each single shoot of. But this is since the beginning. We take care of each single shoot because actually you're talking about shoots here, not because I mean a plant can give different fruits on different shoots. So if you handle not the plant but the shoot, you're going to really do high quality. Because if you just handle the plant in a mechanical way, and or just in an automatic way, and maybe there is a shoot that is beautifully set to the right balance with the leaves and with the sun and with the shadow, and then you have 3-4 fruits that are not set well. I mean, those fruits are not going to be good as the other one. No, so this is the philosophy. Every fruit, every single shoot is need to deliver the best. No, so this is my idea, and this is what I thought, thinking. I mean, because I was looking at the plants, and I was looking and I was seeing that they were reacting as a shoot, not as a plant. No, so this is a bit my idea. No.
So you're kind of I think Luca Corrado Vietti, I see him, he just says, Bibi for president. Ciao, Luca.
Ciao, Luca.
That's great. That's very funny. So listen, but Bibi, with the people that you contract with the properties that you lease, so you have, you put in your farming regime, you take care of the farming and the yields and everything that's going to go on, the different, leaf pulling or whatever you'd like in the vineyard. You have full control, obviously, with whoever you're working with.
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah, of course. Listen,
I try.
Bibi, so
I try my best.
You try. So can you tell us a little bit about, because you have a lot of different products. I have 3 wines with me, starting off with the lower end, the Grilli, and then 2 of the higher end wines, the Testamata and the Colore. And I already saw a comment, someone asking about your pricing, because obviously the pricing, especially the Colore, is almost provocative. It's a big price. It goes for, I think the wine goes for about $400 or so, even more. And I wanted to ask you, why did you pursue that route? What is the idea behind that? But first, before you get to the pricing, tell us a little bit about the range of products that you make.
Well, listen, first of all, we started doing Colore and Testamata.
Right, the two top end wines, yeah.
So I started my production with these 2 wines, and I started in 2000 with these 2 wines. And I don't know, I as I told you before, I was not a guy that was coming from the wine world, so I knew zero about wine until the 99, more or less, and I started well, couple of years before 2000, I started. We had a little vineyard in the family, but it was my mother that was taking care of the vineyard with the gardener. And I mean, we were just playing during harvest to pick the grapes. That was it. So for me, the wine world was zero. So when I came into the wine world, it was a completely new. It was a white, foglio bianco. It was like a white sheet.
A blank sheet, yeah.
A blank sheet, and I started thinking, and I started seeing what was around, and I saw, Sassicaia, wow, fantastic. So okay, Testamata, okay, well, I want to do my Sassicaia. So I started with a price, and I priced at the same price of Sassicaia. So what should we do? I cannot make a Sassicaia for €2. I need to do the same price. No? So I priced it at the same time, same price. And then I started, actually one of the first things that I did is go to see Bordeaux. And I met the Bordelais, and it was really the first wine people I met were the Bordelais. And I saw them, and I saw Jean-Luc Tuneven, and I saw Peter Sisek, and I met Andrea Franchetti there, and I met all the guys from the negotiations. So I got very inspired. I said, I want to make my little Bordeaux. What the hell? I mean, can't I do it? It was so very natural for me, because I didn't know anything about really how things were. Then when I started, after 2 years, I got quite scared because I felt that I built up a skyscraper totally without fundaments. So I said, okay, let's make a basic wine. And I started doing Casamatta in 2003, which was completely hysterical, because I was selling Colore for €300 XL or for €500 on the market. And then Casamatta, I went totally different. I said, you know what? We make a wine, we source the grapes from other wineries, we do everything, and then we just throw €1 on it and see what happened. Boom. And we did like this. People loved my project from the first moment. And the first year we did like 100,000 ball, 130,000 ball of Casamata. The first go like this, boom. Okay, so not bad for
Good start, right?
good start. So we had Casamata, and slowly now we are kind of leveling it up to a price a bit higher, because it's a bit hysterical. As you cannot, I mean, we want to kind of row in one direction. And then we made the Soffocone di Vincigliata after 2 years as well, which was a big splash on the market. Then we did the Bollamata after a few years, actually 4 or 5 years ago now, so quite a few years later. We started doing Bollamata, which is a sparkling Sangiovese, and it's really fun. We do pass like a bit before the harvest. Now, when I don't like to make green harvest because I don't like to see fruits on the floor. I don't like to drop it. Like, it doesn't look good to throw away fruits. I don't know why, but I don't like it. It doesn't look good, no? So it can't be good
It's
if it doesn't
painful.
look good. I believe very much in beauty. No? So when something is not nice, it's not good. No? So I decided to stop it, and we pick them a bit later, and we do the sparkling with when there is a bit too much grapes. No. Well, ideally, it's like here, like the vineyards you see here, you don't even need to pass and make sparkling wine out of them because they're perfectly balanced. No? But sometimes you have some parts of the vineyard that have a bit more, no? And you just pass and take them away. We do the sparkling wine, which is 100% Sangiovese sparkling, which is it's really nice. It's a fun wine, kind of young, not so expensive. We just want to do it a bit like an expensive Prosecco, high-end Prosecco kind of thing.
Right, fun and easy.
Yeah.
So listen, now speaking of Sangiovese, Bibi, show us, if you can, the view of where you are, because I know you're in one of the highest points in Lamole there. You can see, if we can see you can see the hills of, yeah.
Here you are at 650 meters high. And if you see, let's say, this little point here is Panzano.
Oh, that's Panzano there? You can see it, yeah.
Yeah,
So you look down on Panzano.
You look down on Panzano, capito?
Bellissimo. Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah.
And you would have so you have the sunset, because the sunset sets right behind you. It's going to be gorgeous in about an hour when that light gets so golden. So Bibi, so tell us a little bit about your choice, and if you can, even show us some more of the old vines. But your choice to use Sangiovese, because you were talking about your influences even in Bordeaux, and your inspiration by Sassicaia. But of course, these are different grapes. You instead chose to focus on the mighty Sangiovese, the king of Tuscany.
Well, listen, I don't know. I just I don't know. It was quite natural choice, because I mean, falling in love with old vines. I mean, old vines are Sangiovese in Tuscany. I mean, it's maybe there is only one DOC, old DOC in Tuscany, which is the Barco Reale, which has got some. Otherwise, it's all Sangiovese, Canaiolo, and a bit of Colorino. That's Tuscany. So it was quite natural to fall into the idea of doing wines with Sangiovese, kind of. So it goes a bit together with the old vine story. Can you see them?
Yeah. I was there with you. It was a couple of years ago, and I just remember going crazy taking pictures, because it's one of those vineyards, that you start to, you could almost give a name to each vine. They're twisted in different ways, and they all show incredible signs of, endurance and some suffering along the way, and vitality.
Look at this wood here.
Yeah, look, it's crazy. Yeah.
So, I mean,
you can't even really tell what training system, which is kind of just kind of crazy.
It's an albarello with a lot of fantasy,
Yeah, with a fantasy albarello.
A fantasy albarello.
But so there in Lamole, it's basically all Sangiovese, no? Or do you have other? Is there some Colorino and?
Well, here there is. Look at this. Here there is some. This is Trebbiano.
Oh, it's Trebbiano. Got yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah.
they're just a few plants for doing some little Vinsanto. No?
Right, right.
Yeah.
So okay,
They, they,
so
they actually they're going to be picked this week, and we're going to this few white wines because we don't have time to make Vinsanto now because of
mm,
all the building of the new winery. So we're going to put them in the sparkling.
okay, so to kind of nail down your geography, your original base is in Vincigliata, which is a tiny little location just outside of the city of Florence, near Fiesole.
Yeah.
And in the the last 2 years, you bought a really incredible urban site, an old hotel on the main square in Fiesole, which you've now redone and refurbished into a winery. So it's kind of an open space, and there's even the old cafe of the winery, which is on the same level of the piazza of Fiesole, is now kind of your visitor, tasting room or whatever, your visitor center. So are you completely done with the new winery? Is all the work is finished, the construction is finished, and you're already making
No,
wine there, I see, and everything is moved
well,
over to the new site.
we have already been doing a first harvest last year in a quite acrobatic way. But now we are practically finished with the works. We just need to fix the last things of the air conditioning for the fermentation tanks. We have all our new barrels from Garbellotto that just came in. It's looking really fantastic. I never had such a beautiful winery in my life. It's so cool because then it's a jewel. It's a real winery for the first time.
Because your previous winery was kind of inside, the wall of a castle with different kind of, barrel aging rooms that were difficult to move, from one space to the other. So
Well,
no, now
first of
you
all, the castle is very big, but I was a bit confined into the
to a
farmhouses,
small space. Yeah.
and it was really small, small, small. So here we are way larger. No, we and we it's a total different thing. Uh, but more of that, it's really I don't know. It's the feeling of having creating this new project, the house, the winery together, this beautiful, incredible tasting room on the main square overlooking the city of Florence is kind of it's a bit of a, when you're going to come and see the place, you realize it's a place that has something special. It has a real aura, has something strong. It's really cool, huh? And you don't expect that you have a winery there. That's
Right in
completely
the middle of
unexpected.
Fiesole. Somebody asked about the blue bar, if that was going to be open to public tasting.
Well, that's where we're going to have our tasting room. No? So it's going to be open soon. I mean, we are now uh, focusing 100% to finish all the winery in time. And then as that is done, we are going to concentrate on the blue bar. But I believe that by the end of the year, everything is going to be more or less done. And
Mm-hmm,
then we're going to
mm-hmm.
have our little tasting room and with the winery under, and it's going to be cool. It's going to be interesting. It's a bit spacey for us because a bit spaced out because we have always been used to stay a bit isolated, a bit quite hermetic there up in the castle where we were. And I mean, before Google, no one knew where we were. No, so you needed to. Now you have this cats in the Google that they see our gate. So here's Bibi. So people start ringing your bell. Say, what the hell do you want from me? I mean,
You got
because
to
we
get
have, we
used
have
to it,
not.
BB.
Uh,
You have to get used to it.
but now we are in the square, so it's kind of boom. So we need to understand how to deal with this thing here because it's a new thing, no?
Right, of
But
course.
but but it's gonna be nice. I'm sure it's
Right.
gonna be different, but nice.
Yeah, and then of course, the piazza, the square, is a metaphor for where meetings happen, right? So now you're an open door, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So since we spoke. I guess we spoke a couple of weeks ago, and you were telling me as well that that you looked at you have new vineyard land in sight, or a
Yeah.
new possible planting site that would be yours because you bought the land. So
Yeah.
that changes
Yeah.
up the dynamic a bit as well.
Yeah, totally, totally, totally. But it's actually coming, I think, at the right time now because we bought this amazing piece of land, which is 80 hectares, overlooking the square of Fiesole and overlooking the city center of Florence, looking at the dome, and uh, and at 500 meters high. No, so really what we love. It's not even in my wildest dream I would have thought to find 80 hectares at 500 meters, which I couldn't even think about it. And it just
Right.
suddenly, wow, puff, there. And 10 minutes from the winery, right in front there. It's kind of, what?
You
Unbelievable.
told me that you were just looking out from your view of the winery, and you said, "Oh, look at that pretty piece of land up there." And you went up there, and it just happened to be for sale. And just a few weeks later, boom,
No, it was,
signed,
because
deal done.
it was funny because we rented the vineyard this year for the first time in that area there. So 10 minutes from the winery, we got this opportunity. There was 10 hectares, no, 12 hectares of no, partly old vines, partly younger vines. So like 6 hectares of really old vines and 6 hectares of newer vines. And we suddenly saw this land in this valley of Fiesole, and we were saying, "Wow, look at this land! Look at it! It's really amazing!" And it's like totally undiscovered, huge potential, really beautiful soil, rich of galestro. It's a mix of clay, galestro, and alberese all together, but the pieces of alberese that big, no? Little cracky pieces of alberese, bellissimo, incredible, no?
Hmm.
So I was there with my friend, let's say, not he's an architect, but he's actually helping me more with all the paperwork for doing all the jobs in the winery. So he's more like a technician, and he knows everybody in Fiesole. So I took him to the bar of the amphitheater, and I told him, "Hey, listen, Mauro, but listen, I we really realize that this land is incredible. Look at those little grass lanes up there. I mean, it would really fun. Do you know somebody around there that knows that?" So after 2 hours, he calls me and he says, "You know, yeah, there are 80 hectares on sale right there." Ah, okay, wow. Let's meet up with the guys tomorrow. Boom.
Bibi, you have a lucky star. You have a lucky star. That's incredible. A lot of your best decisions have just been, spontaneous or just spur of the moment ones.
Yeah,
And I'm referring also to Giglio, one of my favorite projects that you're doing now with white wines. But before we get to Giglio, I just wanted to finish up a little bit with the red. So Colore is basically all Sangiovese, mostly from the site that Bibi is standing in right now in
yeah,
Lamole, with a little bit of Colorino, 5% or so of Colorino. And this is the top end wine. And then Testamata is also Sangiovese, but this wine sources its fruit from a little bit further south in the province of Siena, in different vineyard parcels, one of them called the Vigna del Cancello, which also has vines that are between or over 80 years old. And it's another site that I had the privilege of visiting with you, with the knotted old vines, and another beautiful site. And the difference, of course, is that this is a little bit lower altitude, and you get a little bit more kind of the fruit intensity. But when you're in that high altitude where Bibi is standing right now in the Colore, you get a lot more of the purity of the Sangiovese, and a kind of more lifted, perfumes that are a bit more floral, and this kind of graceful quality. So they're two very different wines, from two completely different parts of Tuscany. And then as a second project, Bibi is in love with the island of Giglio, where I know that you kind of, even as a kid, spent your vacations and knew all the fishing holes and all the swimming, coves and whatnot. And you started buying incredibly beautiful little micro parcels around the island, mostly planted to Ansonica, white grape, that they grow on the island. And now you have quite a good collection of different vineyard sites for your white wine program. And I wanted you to tell us a little bit about the Giglio, how that came to be. And I know there's a lot of passion behind it. You also have a tiny winery there in Giglio where you make the wine. So you kind of go back and forth from Florence and Fiesole and the island of Giglio.
Well, first of all, when I started doing the wines, I I I realized that I was going to go for something serious. No, when I started doing wine, I realized it was a life choice somehow, and I am a kind of a since I was small, I was in love with the water, with the sea, and with skiing. I don't know how I end up in Florence. no, no, no sea and no snow. Okay.
Right. Well, it's a midway point, right?
So I decided immediately that I needed to put an anchor near the sea. So I want to make a white wine near the sea. Otherwise, I'm going to get stuck for all my life. No? So I decided, I really felt that I had this call kind of, no, from the sea coming, and I went back to my origins where I spent my childhood, and when I went on the island, I got completely. I didn't go there for 15 years, and when I got there in the 2000, I got completely flashed because it's a I I I I was I saw a huge potential and very fascinating place and very exciting. And it is still, after 20 years, so much fun to go around and to discover the crazy little plots of terraces that are maybe, I don't know, 500 years old, and you just cut some bushes and under you find all these terraces that are all there because no one touched them. You don't have, you only have rabbits on the island. You don't have wild boars. You don't have big animals. So everything is there, like 500 years old. I mean, even older because you have walls and streets from the Roman times, and you just clean and you find all this treasure under, and then the fun thing is you can also do fantastic world-class wines out of there. So,
Because the island of Giglio had a wine production history that then was since abandoned. And as you mentioned, the entire island basically is covered with these ancient terraces that have been grown over. And so you kind of see them, you perceive them when you look at the hillside, because you can see the linearity of what were the terrace plots. And you've been able to uncover some of those old vines and bring them back to life, basically, or
listen, but it's really easy now because the climate is very extreme on the island, so there is no
right.
big no forest coming up. No, so you just find some small bushes and that cover this incredibly old terraces. You just need to go there with a clean, practically,
Right.
and you can just plant. But it's so beautiful. The thing is that it's really fascinating. Very complicated to run because it's a micro fractionated. It's really a parcel can be 20 square meters.
Right.
No,
And
we're
also, I
talking
mean,
about
you're on a tiny island, so if you are on the north side of the island, it's completely different than the southeast side of the island because of the
totally.
wind patterns and.
You have like 3 weeks difference between one side of the other and the other side of the island. It's like if you go on the south west side of the island, you have the same microclimate like you have in South Africa, kind of.
Well, the island is made out of a yellow granite, So, you see this kind of yellow, decomposed granite sand. And the tradition, because one of the, it's in island winemaking, and I guess, also acidity can be a problem, right? Because you have a lot of sunshine, a lot of wind, and one of the traditions, which I found
we
very
need to. We,
heartwarming was that people would dry the grapes on the granite rocks, traditionally, the old farmers.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And when you took me there, I was just fascinated by, this incredible labor-intensive process of harvesting grapes and putting them to lie out on rocks to sunbathe for a while before then they're, pressed and go into the winery. But of course, you have it. You have how many different parcels do you farm on Giglio? How many different sites?
8.
8.
Yeah, there are 8 small sites. Yeah.
And after
So
you started making wine there, Giglio is now has, um, there are 2 or 3 other winemakers now making wine on Giglio, I think now.
I think within everything there are 7 realities.
7. So
Yeah.
that's
There is a bit more than the beginning, but still there is a lot to do, but a lot of potential because
mhm.
I have been struggling for quite a while to really find the technique to make a real world-class wine. No? It took me many years. We started with this wine. It was called Bugia, and every time this wine here was, getting nice, but not really reaching peaks of quality. And my dream was to make a Testamata there, or no, and but I couldn't do a Testamata that was not at the level of a Testamata, no. So I keep up doing this Bugia until the 2013. Then I said, listen, there's no point to continue doing mediocre wines. I'm not here. I'm not there. I'm not in for mediocre wines. And so I kind of I stopped, I reduced the production drastically, like from 10,000 bottles, I decided to make 1,000 bottles only, because and just focus 100% on the quality and on the style and how to really make this wine great. No? And we actually made a drastic change on the wine, and and we managed to do something really interesting. And then from there we started from 2013, 14 and 15, more and more and more, and then at 16 we decided, okay, now boom,
So what were
now
some of the changes, Bibi, that you made? What were the changes in particular that changed?
well, the idea was that we needed to have well, first we were looking for perfumes which were missing. So this was the first element. Why? There is so much perfumes in this island when you are going around. Why don't we manage to capture these perfumes? So we started working on this, and this we got by cleaning the wine very much before fermentation. Really clean them so that we have less possible oxidative parcels that then take away the perfumes, somehow. So we really clean the wine, clean the wine before starting fermentation. Then we started to think about how to make the wine bigger. No, so and for doing how to make wine bigger, we needed to have more maturity. So more sugar, more ripe fruit. So we started waiting at that part there. So at the end, we have a combination of vineyards that we pick earlier with higher acidity and higher perfumes, and some vineyards that we pick later with more volume and alcohol and largeness, and then we started fermenting, doing barrel fermentation with a combination of this, and the thing was really perfect. We managed to match the right thing, kind of.
Right. So somebody asked what was missing, presumably before, and what did you gain after? And that is the idea of having the structure, the depth, and also the freshness, which is key for especially an island winemaking.
Yeah, and also no, really to capture this perfumes of Cistio, the perfumes of Macchia Mediterranea, these Mediterranean
Right.
flavors which are
Right. And the
incredible
the
on the
sea
island.
salt, you get that kind of windy
Yeah.
Mediterranean salty seaside taste, which
So
I
my,
love.
by
Yeah.
so by doing this ferment really clean fermentation, at the end what happened is that because all these perfumes are very oily. These plants are really oily around the island.
More viscous, yeah.
It's like sticks on you when you go around. It sticks on you. So it sticks also on the wine, these perfumes. So you need to make sure that you
Light
don't
it.
lose the perfumes, no, somehow. And
You know, Bibi, while we're talking about fermentations, there was a question a few minutes ago about Sangiovese and whether or not you're going to change any of your approach in the winery in terms of fermentations or aging now that you've changed wineries or now that you're in your new space for the top red wines for Colore and Testa Matta.
well, listen,
If you have any plans to change anything.
well,
Uh,
I never had a standard. I never had
a set.
a set.
Yeah,
So
even I
for
noticed that
me,
even your blending every year changes. I mean, every time I talk to you, this year, this I've done this year I've done that. So every wine is its own, every vintage is its
yeah, and
own
I plus
expression.
I'm not even such a good collector, so I don't even remember what I did 2 years ago. I just want to do the best all the time. What I have in my cellar, and what I do, what I have in my vineyard, and then I mean, okay, we have now computers, so maybe I can go and find some stuff. But it's not. And also, I believe that the wines you make them in the vineyard, and so whatever you do in the cellar, you can do something great if you have fantastic wine grapes. Then you can do fantastic wine in your cement. You can do fantastic wine in open barrels. You can do fantastic wine in stainless steel fermentation. You can do fantastic wine
Mm.
in any way you want if you have fantastic grapes. So it's not such a big deal for me. I mean, okay, maybe, I mean, the style is not really important at the end of the day. The important is the grape. And then what comes, somehow. And so there is never been a real standard of how to do things.
So there's a question which I think is directed more towards me than it is for you, and it is why doesn't Robert Parker come on to Instagram Live? And it's a great question that I can ask Robert Parker. He is retired. He retired officially from the Wine Advocate more than a year ago. I guess a year and a half ago. When I started working for the company about 8 years ago, I think, or 2013, so 7 years ago. And he was very active the first 5 years that I worked for the Wine Advocate. And then he started to, dedicate more time to his wonderful wine cellar at home and traveling and his wife. And, and after such a, long and celebrated career, he deserves all the time at home after a lot of work. This job is not easy. There's a lot of work. So we can maybe ask Bob one day to come on to Instagram Live. I could even ask him, but he is officially retired. So that's the reason why you haven't seen him on Instagram Live. Anyway, so getting back to Bibi. Listen, Bibi, so you told us a little bit about your influences, that you were quite inspired, not only by the wines of Bordeaux, but it sounds like also, the mechanics of the philosophy behind selling wine in Bordeaux and other places. But I wanted to ask you, what are some of your favorite wines that you drink, either Italian wines or wines from other parts of the world? What are some of the wines that give you, inspiration when you're
Well,
your family?
I must say that in Italy, my ultimate winemaker is Mascarello. This transparent Barolo, troppo bello. No, I
Yeah,
really love the transparencies, and
purity.
and then I love Burgundy and Richebourg. I always think I had this beautiful Richebourg of Romane Conti that was totally transparent, and I love this transparency. So I'm working uh, more and more to try to achieve this kind of things, and so we're making experiments and try to keep less. Skin contact and try to have lighter, more transparent wines. It's really something that touches me very much. I'm still not there, but I'm working on it. That kind of thing. And then when I see, I mean the, I mean I'm. It's so there's so many wonderful things that are out there in the wine world that are so inspiring from the champagne world, from Bordeaux. You go around in Bordeaux, is like being in playground for adults, no? It's like Disneyland for adults. It's amazing. It's
Impressive.
incredible what they did. It's really, 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 really fantastic. And but all these things are really fascinating. Apart from enology or whatever, apart from the wine, but the concepts that are behind them are really so beautiful. But
How about other Tuscan wines, leaving apart Sassicaia that you've already mentioned?
well, again, Tuscany is a bit of a strange area, because you don't have so many farmers like you have in Piemonte. So I am more kind of my wines and my philosophy. It's a bit more like a Piemontese. I make my wines by myself. I have more. I'm not so big, I have this here in Tuscany. It's a bit
Cru,
far
you're
west.
very focused on crus, on single vineyards, yeah, on the actual vineyards.
Yeah, I'm very focused on really high quality, and that's it. And here you have a bit more, I say, far west. You have all this huge investment coming in and creating big wineries, and so it's I must say I'm a bit more I'm more a little Piemontese kind of guy.
You're Piemontese Toscano.
Piemontese Toscano. With that, you wouldn't say it from the accent.
No. But Bibi, but also because you're such a, you have such firm footing in the vineyard, and you love the vineyard so much. Are there other areas of Italy that would give you envy, that you would love to farm there? Are there other parts of Italy that you think, God, I wish I had vineyards there. I wish I worked there.
But listen, I don't know. So far, I have not been really attracted by going around in other areas. There is so much to do here, where I am, and then I have the Giglio Island, which is already a huge headache because to have to deal with the Gigliesi and to have to deal with this crazy island takes you so much satisfaction already, that give you so much satisfaction. You don't really need to go. And plus, I'm not really. I've never been looking for which is the next hot area. I don't really care because I'm out of any DOC anyway, so I'm not running for new spots. The thing that I am now, I'm totally in love with this new piece of land, and I want to see what's going to happen there and what kind of wine that's going to deliver. So from being in love with old vines, now I will suddenly fall in love with young vines for the first time. I'm pretty sure about that.
You know what they say.
It's ogni scarafone bella mamma sua.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
No, but it's
I don't know how to translate that. Yeah, everybody is beautiful to their own mother, right?
Yeah. So it's really exciting. This new project, and I think it's coming at the right time because I've been really, following this drive of old vines for 20 years, and now I feel really I really feel like a wine guy, and I want to do my thing, and I really want to plant my vineyard now. So it's
well, you are. Bibi, as I said at the beginning, you've kind of always adopted this out of the box philosophy that maybe other people didn't initially understand, especially in Italy, that it doesn't have people like you, generally that are going around just to select vineyard sites and not working from an estate property that might be in family generations for a very long time. So you kind of you choose your blending elements. You choose what you have. You have an open palette, which makes it kind of a different.
Come si dice, il mal voluto non è mai troppo.
I don't know. Now on words of wisdom, we're losing.
Can you hear me?
Right. Yeah. I didn't even hear. Yeah, no, you cut out for a bit, but I think you were
Yeah,
saying
sorry.
you choose your own destiny, basically.
Yeah, il mal
Or you
voluto non
choose
è mai
your
troppo, no?
own.
Si dice.
Mm,
Sì,
non lo so
no,
tradurre. I don't know how to. Yeah.
no, you can't.
Sorry. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, listen. So, what was I going to say? Oh, so Bibi, I can't help but not ask you because, of course, Giglio, for those who will remember, is the island that was so infamous because of the cruise ship that crashed into its side
Yeah,
about 6 or 7 years ago, I guess. No, even more now. It must be more than when did it happen?
I
And it
don't
must
know.
be
It's
8 years ago, I
quite a
guess.
while. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, so you, because you mentioned the Gigliese personality, these kind of island folk. It's kind of it's a gorgeous, tiny little island, beautiful blue sea and that kind of yellow sand. I mean, it's a perfection, a place of perfection with a great little port and stuff like that. But it's been, everybody recognizes it in recent years as the site of that capsized cruise ship that lay on the side of the island near the port for a number of years. So, just to give geographic reference point.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, yes. Uh,
unfortunately, yes. All right, Bibi. I don't know if anybody has any other questions. We're coming close to the end of the hour, and we can see how the light has changed where you are. You got that beautiful Tuscan
yeah,
golden light. It's absolutely gorgeous now, and the Costa Concordia. Somebody's reminding me the name of the ship.
yeah. The famous guy
This
Schettino.
famous Schettino, Captain Schettino.
The
Yeah,
biggest, the
and
biggest
now
asshole, the biggest asshole in the world.
the biggest asshole in the world. But hopefully now Giglio will be remembered for more than just Capitano Schettino, but remembered for beautiful white wines because, as
Yeah,
you said, there's
yeah.
enormous potential there, and there is, this budding interest of people that are, the concept of island wines as well, especially from such a small, isolated little island, where you have this kind of genetic material, this purity, this unique terroir. I love tasting those wines.
Yeah.
Anyway, oh,
Plus, I mean, it's not even
somebody's
so
asking.
small, actually. You know?
No, no,
No,
it's not.
the
You're right.
islands.
It's not.
It's because it's like a little mountain in the sea. You know? So at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, they're potentially up to like 100 years ago. There were like 1,500 cultivated hectares now of
Wow.
land. So potentially,
1,500. Yeah.
yeah, and let's say 3,000 total hectares or something like that, and 1,500 cultivated. You know? So I mean, it's not 1,500 hectares. It's quite big. I mean, potentially, it's like a little Montalcino in the
Potentially,
sea,
yeah.
you know, kind of.
A floating Montalcino. Oh, that's great. No, but you're right about the size. Yeah. Somebody asked Bibi if you have any
No,
plans for, an orange wine or wines with longer skin maceration times for the whites, or if you're going in that direction.
well, I have always been doing some small wines like that, and I have them in the cellar. But we do like just for drinking on the island, 300-400 bottles a year with the friends and like this, and we do them the old style with 7-8 days of fermentation with the skins, no sulfites, all very crazy oxidative. Acetici, molto, but lots of fun. I mean, they're really old guys' wines. You know, they love this wines. All the farmers in the Giglio, they love these things. We have this little wine. It's called Chiozzolo, actually, which means Chiozzolo is a strange kind of squash, no? Una zucca.
Mm.
Um, Però
The little
sono
yellow one. Now,
those squashes that have, no, it's the yellow one, but they have like a neck, like they have like a long neck,
like a gooseneck. A
like
gooseneck, yeah.
like a gooseneck, you know. And then they have this kind of round, big pear, kind of, no. And it's
Hmm.
called chiozzolo, and they used to use the bottom, the round part, when they used to dry this squash, and then cut a hole in it and use it as a romaiolo kind of for doing the wines in the cellar. They used it as a tool, no, for taking the wine, moving the wine. It was like
Right,
and
scooping and here.
yeah. But the thing is that on the island, the chiozzolo, because it's empty, because when it dries, it remains only with the seeds. It's like a maracuja kind of thing. You have all of these dry seeds inside, so it becomes all empty. No, so chiozzolo on the island, it's a synonymous of empty head, of stupid, of like that. No? So,
Right.
but it's part of because there is a language of the island. There is a small kind of dialect, which is with specific words that are only
Gigliese.
of the island. Gigliese, there is a kind of vocabulary of the island, and Kyoto is it's a term. No, it's a normal terminology on the island, which means stupid. No, so I loved so much this thing here because I was once. Looking at this old guy with this little nephew of 5 years old that was crossing the street in the main square where the cars are going, and without looking, he was just running through the and I hear this old guy running, oh, yeah, like this, and I said, this is a fantastic name for a wine. So I made this wine. And then it's fantastic because when I bring it to the people on Giglio with the chiozzolo, they look at me a bit mad. Like,
and they're like, why did you call it that?
That's funny.
So listen, Bibi, on that note of the chiozzolo, I wanted to thank you so much for spending this time with us. Thank you so much for going up to the vineyard so we could do this Instagram Live directly in the vineyard, which is so special. And it's been so much fun to watch you walk around, kind of wandering back and down, up and down the rows with the sunlight. So, Bibi, listen, have a great harvest. Happy harvest.
Thank you very much, Monica.
And thank you again. And we'll talk soon. Ciao, Bibi.
Ciao, Monica. Ciao, everybody. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Bye. Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye. Ciao.